All right, welcome to Unit 3. We've got a bit more time before we start Part 2 of the course, which is the interactive website part using JavaScript. And this is a nice, short, easy, quick, almost introductory to making your website interactive, because this one is all about animations and kind of giving your website the illusion of life, because we can't give our website any brains yet because we don't know any JavaScript. So this will be a good unit to bridge the whole interactivity of what we can do with websites. So yeah, should be a good one here. So if I were you, I would make a new folder. Of course, it's going to make me find my folder location. So let's make a third folder for this third unit. Probably should create a first folder for... What are we doing today? I don't know. Let's do some keyframing. So in this keyframe folder, I'm going to add an indexed. Shift 1, press enter. I am also going to add a style sheets, and I'm going to link my style sheets to my HTML. Bingo, bango, bongo. All right, let's animate. So let's keep it simple. I'm going to create a div, and I'm going to give it a class name of box. And I'm going to style this lovely box with perhaps a height, perhaps a width, so it doesn't take up the entire width of my web page. And just so I can see it, let's give it a nice, beautiful color, blue violet. Sure, why not? Give you some time to catch up. Actually, yeah, maybe code this one. All right, let's take a look at our website. No surprise, here is our beautiful div that is representing a nice purple box. All right, let's give it some life. Let's animate it. Animating's pretty easy. I mean, it can get in depth, but it doesn't take much to give quite a bit of life to a certain element or any elements you want to animate on your website. So if I want to animate this box using a keyframe method, all I need to do is type in animate, and animation, sorry. When I type animation, this style, I guess you could call it style, it's going to require three things from me. So the first name is my animation name. And you can name your animation whatever you want. It doesn't matter. But I'm going to think ahead. What do I want to animate? Well, I can animate pretty much any of these properties that we've used in the past. And I see background colors, so I'm going to animate that property because I don't want to use my brain. So I'm going to call my animation color change. You can call it whatever you want, but you're a programmer. We should make our code readable and interpretable to other programmers. So, don't go too far off the rails with that. All right, spacebar. The second thing I need is how long your animation is going to take from start to finish. So I don't know. I'm going to say 3 seconds. You can do 1,000 seconds. You can do milliseconds if you wanted to. I'm just going to do 3 seconds. I can change it later. This isn't set in stone. And the third thing animation needs for me is how many times is the animation going to play? So let's keep it simple. I want the animation to play once. So I'm going to put a big fat 1 there. All right. This is all cool. I've got an animation ready to go. But this animation I've created, it hasn't been defined yet. So color change means nothing because we haven't told our style sheet what we want to do with this animation. So let's go ahead and define this animation. So every time you do this, you're going to go at keyframes, because we're going to be using keyframes to animate here. And what are we animating? Well, we're defining an animation that I'm going to call color change. So this animation that I want to see, well, I have to define what this animation is all about. Open up a set of braces just like we would with any of our other styling that we've done in the past. And in here, we need 2 things. We need a from with a set of empty braces. And we need a to with another set of empty braces. Just like you're writing a lovely letter. From Bob to Bobby. So your from section of your animation is your starting point. The to is your ending point. So what are you starting from the animation and where are you going with this animation? Well, I want to change the color. I want to animate this property. So from a background color of blue violet, so this is my starting point, I'm going to a new background color, and I don't know, let's pick a cool one. This one, sure. And now this animation has a meaning. Its meaning is defined in here, and we're going from this property to this property. And how long is that going to take? Well, it's going to take us 3 seconds. So from here to here, it's going to take 3 seconds. And how many times are we doing this animation? We're doing it once. So I'm going to Control S to save everything, and let's open my website. And there is the lovely animation we just created. So the animation fires off as soon as the website is loaded. So if I refresh my website, you can see I'm starting from a purple background color and I'm ending at a, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that word, this color of a background. Chartreuse? I'm done. I don't know I did that. So there you go, a very simple animation. You could play with these parameters if you wanted to. You could make your animation take 5 seconds if you wanted to. You could make it loop 100 times. So now when I refresh my website, the animation takes longer to go from start to finish. And now it's repeating itself. And I could sit here and wait until this animation completes 97 more times, but I don't really want to do that. It's too late right now. So correct me if I'm wrong, but this is pretty simple. This didn't really take much work at all, and it really didn't take much brain power. So very easy to do, and it kind of gives your website some much needed life. I know we've created some really cool looking websites, but they're kind of dead. They don't do much. So this is kind of a taste of interactivity that we can imbue in our websites until we get to part 2 of this course. Now, because this stuff was pretty straightforward, I'm going to just throw a couple more things at you before you leave. I'm going to change my animation down to 3 seconds, and I'm going to put it back to 1. So I know I named this animation color change, but I can really animate whatever and as many things as I want. So for example, I've got a width property. So maybe I animate with a starting point of the same width. And from this width, I'm going to go to a new width of 200 pixels. So if I save that and refresh my website, now my animation has 2 things going on. It's got a color change and it's got a width change. And what the heck? Let's add a third layer to this animation. Let's start with a height, and let's make this box grow vertically to double its size, 200 pixels. So now my animation has 3 things going on. And there's no limits. You can do it, pretty much animate whatever as many times as you want. And I'll show you one last cool trick that I really like to use with animations. It's a separate style, and it's all the way down in direction. And I want to talk about this alternate property. So right now my animation plays once, and then it kind of just snaps back to its starting point, which, I don't know, kind of annoys me. So what you could do is you could use this lovely property to basically alternate the direction of your animation. So what do I mean by that? Well, this animation goes from these properties to these properties. However, if I played this animation 2 times with an alternate property set here, what that means is this will alternate directions. So for example, we go from these properties to these new properties on the first iteration. However, because I've got the direction of the animation set to alternate, on the second iteration, we start here from these properties and then we go back to these ones. So with one iteration, we go from here to here. But if I go to 2 iterations, that means I go from here to here on the first one, but then I go from here to here on the second one. And what that does, it kind of creates this reverse effect. So here's the first iteration, and then we alternate direction on the second iteration, and we go back to the starting point. So if I stack that to 100, here's the first iteration, here's the second iteration, here's the third iteration, here's the fourth iteration. So you kind of get this liveliness, this more alive animation, which really didn't take too much brain power either. It's just one line of code. And this is kind of, this is kind of an in-your-face animation, but sometimes an effect like this with very, very little subtle changes. So for example, maybe I don't want to get to 100 or 200 pixels. Maybe we just make it slightly bigger. And maybe I don't want such a drastic color change. Maybe I just want just a wee bit, just like that. And I kind of just a little just subtle touch to your website. And you know, this could be like a subscribe button, it could be a click me button, it could be a buy now button, just to kind of, you know, just to kind of entice just a little bit. Maybe make it just a bit pink and speed that animation up a bit. So this is really the only tool we have right now to kind of give our website some life before we really take a deep dive into JavaScript, which is going to handle a lot of that for us in the future. But this is pretty nice. This is a pretty nice starting point. And I don't think this is too complicated. I think this is pretty straightforward, and the payoff is pretty cool. You know, it's a very low input, high output situation here. Low effort, high reward. All right, that's a good starting point.